Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SavvyCast. This is Jamie, and I am so grateful that you're tuning in today. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to a podcast, thank you. Today, we are going to be talking about a phenomenal new tasting experience that you can have. It's in Birmingham, but I'm assuming people are traveling from all over to partake of this. And today, my guest is Tyler Lyne of the Tasting Table. And we're going to hear from Tyler and possibly his beautiful and talented wife, Jennifer, who just had a baby Friday. But Tyler, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay, Tyler, would you, I start with the first question for all of my guests. It's the icebreaker question, and I'm very curious as to your answer. What would you choose as your last meal?
Wow, it's a great question. Honestly, I'm really passionate about chicken wings. Probably bring me a tremendous amount of joy. Yeah. I'd probably go chicken wings.
Same here. I'm a wing girl. Yeah. Do you
We
have like a certain wing you would request for your last meal?
So we just got we're going to be in this magazine, Covey Rise. It is a hunting magazine.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so Tasting Table, they did a big article on us. And I would have to say these ones right here, which is
Oh my goodness. I've never seen wings look that beautiful. Is that your recipe?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's in the book, or it's in the magazine. But these are Korean style. So what I call banchan, and they are absolutely phenomenal. It's cooked with a little bit of rice, like rice flour and some, cornstarch or tapioca starch. So it's insanely crispy. And even the next day out of the fridge, they're still crispy.
Okay. So if we want that recipe, we need to get that magazine, Covey Rise, or do you also have that published? I know you have a blog and Instagram, social media. Do you publish specific? I know recipes can be sacred, but is that the only place to get that one?
Yeah, it's the only one we've ever had it published before. So, I mean, we'll probably, follow up with some Instagram or some social media stuff about it. Maybe repost the recipes. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah. Well, if you decide you want to share it on Family Savvy, I will be honored, but that sounds wonderful. Okay. Well, Tyler, for all of our listeners, of course, they're all over, not just Birmingham, but tell us your background, because your background is all over, not just in the United States. You have a truly cosmopolitan culinary background. So can you just start from the beginning?
Yeah. So, I'm originally born and raised in Texas, kind of found cooking through that culture. It's a lot about food. Everything revolves around food. And so I really just sort of learned, the guy that knew how to cook, I mean, he was invited to all the parties. So that sort of was the humble beginnings of this chefing thing.
How old were you when you first thought, I want to do this for a living?
I'd say about 16.
Mm-hmm. Was there a specific person in your life that you sat at their feet to learn, like from the very beginning? Mine was my both grandmothers, Southern grandmothers. I mean, I learned so much, and that's where it started for me.
It was definitely, my mom was a fantastic cook. Mm-hmm. And so she always made really good food. And, obviously my grandmother was very good. And, we were raised to love eating, and that sort of is where it all began. And, because I was just not, while most kids were eating chicken tenders and French fries or Totino's pizza, my mom was making artichokes and hollandaise sauce, and people, going in Texas and friends coming over, they're just looking at it like it's a from an alien world. And, you know, you would give it to them and they'd be like, this is amazing. And they would, you know, people would like literally come eat at my house because they knew we were going to eat well. And that sort of started the whole community of it, you know, and that's really what it is, kind of the hook, line, and sinker is, you know, just being around people and sharing food. You know, it's primal. We've been doing it for, you know, 100,000 years, and we're going to do it for 100,000 more. And it's, you know, we eat 3 times a day, and, you know, when you get something that's amazing, I mean, it sits with you. I mean, it's like, it's a borderline drug, you know, when addiction, you know, something that's that delicious, you know, you just look forward to it all day to have that really great meal.
That is so true. It's the great uniter. Everyone comes together, no matter, despite any difference, food can bring everyone to the table.
Yep.
So Tyler, when you graduated from high school, what happened then, or how did you launch into fully what you're doing now?
Yeah. So from high school, I went to culinary school in New York called the Culinary Institute of America. I didn't know anything about it. You know, Texas school systems aren't the best. You know, I rolled up there not really knowing what to expect. I mean, I never visited the school. I just showed up day one, and it was phenomenal. I mean, the place is truly impressive. It's like Hogwarts. It looks like Hogwarts.
Wow.
It literally is like something out of Harry Potter, and it's just magical place. And, you know, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about cooking. You know, yeah, I'd worked at our fine dining restaurant in town, but, you know, I didn't mean anything. That place wasn't any good anyways, you know, and kind of fell into it, and, you know, sort of had to learn really hard and really fast to sort of get through the learning curve so I could compete with these other adults that had better vocational programs in their school systems, you know, specialized in cooking, like knew a lot of stuff. I mean, I'd never heard the word garmager. You know, they're throwing it around like it's commonplace. And I'm like, you know, I didn't want to seem dumb, you know, and so I didn't, you know, say like, I don't know what that is. What is that? You know, and so I went, you know, just go study what the heck garmager was, and, you know, understand is, you know, in high school, you know, I really kind of screwed around and, you know, really apply myself, right? You know, out of fear. You know, my greatest fear was fear of failure. You know, I never wanted to really see what I was capable of, because in my mind, I was capable of here. I didn't want to ever discover that I was only here. You know, that discrepancy was scary. And so I never really applied myself, you know, and when I started school, you know, thank God everything worked out the way it was, because, you know, when I was 18, you know, I had that conversation with myself where, you know, I'm done sort of screwing around. And from this point forward, you know, I'm going to apply myself like, you know, no one's ever seen before. And that's what I did.
Well, and I'm assuming, Tyler, that culinary school, at least that culinary school, is not inexpensive.
No, it's, I mean, it's Ivy League.
That's what I was saying. And there probably aren't scholarships. I mean, so did you work to pay for that?
Well, you know, I was very fortunate, you know, so, you know, my parents, you know, flipped that bill entirely.
Oh,
you know, I
wonderful.
didn't pay a dime, and, you know, God bless them. And, you know, just one more reason not to let them down, you know, so they were obviously shocked when I said I was going to go be a chef. You know, they thought I was going to go to Texas A&M and be an architect or an engineer and, you know, do the 9 to 5. And, you know, that's great. That was a great option. But when I told them about chefing, you know, it took them a while to warm up to it at first. But, you know, now, I mean, they love it. Like they love it, because, you know, it's kind of like being in the military. It sends you all over the world. You know, you can go anywhere you want to go. I mean, you know, it's your ticket.
Right. Well, I know that you moved to Birmingham like during the COVID stuff to be closer to family. Are your parents in Birmingham?
My parents are in Texas still, in College Station.
Oh, college. Okay, so that's near A&M, right? So that's where you're from.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Well, I want to hear, I am intrigued by this concept. And as far as I'm aware, this tasting table concept is not happening anywhere else, at least in Birmingham, correct? Y'all are the first.
Yeah, I would say we're the first. I'm sure you can find some other examples of, little tasting menus or here and there. I'm sure we're not unique. I think we're unique as it relates to, being the best at what we do. But, that's what we've trained our whole lives for. No one can compete with the amount of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears that we've put in to perfect our craft, and that's really what you are as a craftsman,
Well, and let me clarify to everyone, because I've, been researching, reading your bio. Both you and Jennifer you are a chef and she's a pastry chef. Can you differentiate? Can you clarify both of those?
Yeah. So, I do all of the savory and then she does the pastry.
Are they two totally different degrees, or do you have to master? Is it how many culinary
That's
elements?
a good question. Is that, actually Jen went to school and got the same degree as I did. So she actually did a savory, a culinary degree, not a baking and pastry degree. And so when we moved to New York City back in 2006, she started working for a chef named Daniel Ballou, who is, a New York institution. He had a, 3 Michelin star restaurant called Restaurant Danielle. She started working at, he just opened a new restaurant called Bar Ballou. And, very quickly, maybe in a course of a month or two, she realized she hated it and wanted to switch to pastry. That this company is called Dynex, and they're huge, international. Daniel Ballou is in tons of countries, not just New York. Their corporate pastry chef was like a chef turned pastry chef himself. And so when she told him that she wanted to do this, he was very supportive and, encouraged her and sort of did right by her by, okay, no problem. Like, we're going to train you how to be a pastry chef, and you're going to start here, you're going to go there. And she ended up working for them for, a decade, worked at all of his restaurants in New York, at least. Her first one was at that 3 Michelin, Restaurant Danielle, and, got her chops there. But she's worked for, world-class people, that are James Beard Award winners, that are, Michelin star winners, that are, just internationally recognized. She's worked for some really great people.
When did you start the tasting table? What year?
The tasting table we started about a year and a half ago.
So
we moved here in 2000.
So you were in the COVID affected you then. So are you almost back to normal now? Because I feel like most people are. Well, I know
it's one of the things I love, that I've fallen in love with Alabama about in general, is like, I never really felt out of normalcy here. When we moved down here, I mean, it was like life as usual, and that's something that I really, commend Alabama in general, is, use your best judgment, be respectful, but teach his own, do what you need to do. And so, while people were just totally falling apart, lives being destroyed, at least you could survive here in Alabama, in Birmingham.
Did you have a lot of friends or colleagues in New York that have suffered or still suffering because of the way they've handled?
All of them. I mean, COVID, the bottom fell out in New York. I mean, it put New York back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Not a good place to be.
Yeah. So sad. But yes, we're Alabama. I think we've got a very clear perspective. I think most people are, just like you said, respectful, but we're living life in Alabama, that's for sure. And I know I was on your, I don't know if it was, it was your app or your Instagram, you're booked. I was thinking we might, make a dinner date, and I'm like, oh shoot, we got to wait a while. And even when I get on Open Table, if I don't book for Zane and me or us and our friends, you don't get one of the top tier restaurants if you don't book several weeks ahead. I mean, COVID's over here for most of it. People are eating out. So that's a good thing. And let me clarify something that I know there are places you can do tasting and things like that, but what I think is so unique about you that I've at least not heard of, that you and Jennifer are doing this in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll get to what your next endeavor is, which is super exciting, but you're doing this in your home. Now, as a mother, we're empty nest now, but with your second baby, how do you do that? Do you have a nanny? Just from a practical perspective, 2 chefs entertaining people tonight. It's the weekend, Friday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
What are the babies?
And we do tons of private things during the week too.
How are you doing that? You must have a very good team, both to handle the girls and handle just running a household and doing all of that. You must have a great team.
Yeah. Very fortunate to attract really great, amazing people, around me. But, for every amazing person we get, we go through 100 individuals. It's not for the faint-hearted. This isn't easy. And, but, one of, a long time, comrade, when we moved down here, he moved down here. He's born and raised in Brooklyn. And so he moved down here with us. So he lives in our basement, and he, is the bedrock, that sort of holds it all together for sure.
Well, okay. So give us, all of us listening or watching, start from beginning to end of a tasting table experience. First thing you've got to do is book. And like I said, you want to do it, you better book, because y'all, let me ask you this. So far, are you finding there's more couples booking or large parties? Because I see lots of supper club size parties that you're doing where a lot of people know each other and choose to do that. What's the most common scenario?
Oh, we'll do, on a Saturday night, there'll be probably 3 party buses parked out front. So it definitely is a mix, but it's a lot of, larger parties as well. I think it's just something fun for a group of people. Like, so if let's say you wanted to get your friends together, then you would get a bunch of couples probably that are, in the same stage of life, and y'all will book a party bus, and then y'all all ride it over here, maybe have a table for, 12 or 15 or 20. We get those all the time.
Okay. So you have 3 spaces in your home. So you have 3 separate areas that you seat people, and guests will be seated in rooms with other people, just like at a restaurant, but they're with their people surrounded by whoever else booked. Okay. Yeah. So do you partition people according to the size?
Yeah. We'll book them, like we will sit them. You can choose where you want to sit on the website. So if you want the outdoor table, which is covered and enclosed and heated, then we will sit you there. If you choose the chef's table, then we'll sit you at the chef's table. And then if you want the dining room, we'll sit you at the dining room. But yes, we will, you can't book a table unless there's seats to sit. And so there's really no issues with trying to fit people. If somebody calls and has a large party, then we'll, book them at, one of the tables that can hold them. But, we'll do on a Saturday night. Last Saturday before we closed to have our daughter, I think we did 57 people that night.
Do you have people that come in stages like at a restaurant, or is it okay? So it's it's an 8-course experience, correct?
Yeah, it's 10 courses.
Oh, 10 courses. Okay. Wow.
10 courses. Yeah. We started, you arrive at 6:30. So from 6:30 to 7, we do a little cocktail half hour. So we usually do 2 specialty cocktails, sort of his and hers, and then at 7 we sit down, and then we start the meal. It starts with canapes. So we'll send you a series of 5 bites that you can sort of start, the amuse-bouche, so to speak, kind of starts the meal, get you primed, and then the first course
comes after that. The first course is typically, we'll
we'll do crudos or sushi. Just my time in Japan, I do a lot of Japanese influenced things. If it's maybe go a soup, like a hot appetizer or a cold appetizer, and then typically a pasta, a fish, then be a meat, be like the entree. Then we'll do your first dessert, and then we'll do a second dessert. And then we'll finish with kind of how we started with those canapes, but like canapes, like sweet canapes, so like petit fours or minierdis at the end. And then we do coffee service, beverage pairing with all of these. So yeah, it's about 10 courses.
How long does that take?
2.5 hours.
Wow. So this is truly an experience. This is like a fabulous idea for a special occasion, anniversary, birthday, new job. I mean, this is really neat. And correct me if I'm wrong, you present the food as it comes out. There's no, we're picking our menu or we're reading a menu. You have it all planned out and we just enjoy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. If you book, you can put dietary restrictions or allergies, and then we'll have that person like a special meal that'll fit that, their dietary restrictions. But yeah, there's no ordering. This is a chef's tasting menu. And if you've ever gone to a really nice restaurant that, in New York typically costs you about, minimum $500 per person. And it can go in excess of $1,500 per person. It just depends on where you go. So the value that you get here, which is the same caliber and pedigree as any of these places you could go in New York, at $125 a head, it's the best deal in town.
Yeah, I was about to say, now you settle up with the drinks at the end, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
but the pairing, we only charge, we don't make any money on the pairing. We only charge like $55 for the pairing. And so imagine getting wine with those 10 courses, right? So that's, do the math. Let's take the cocktails out of it and let's just do the wine.
Yeah.
If you take 55 and divide that by, let's say 7 different types of wine, it's a pretty dang good deal, because the wines are, ultra premium wines. It's not like we're selling crappy wines. We taste hard on them.
Right. So I know you follow seasonal, you are pretty much a seasonal cook, of course. Do you go to a certain farmer's market or do you have suppliers locally or just different vendors?
Yeah. We're really big into the wild aspect of it. And that's really what the Covey Rise article is about, the foraging component. So we serve lots of wild forage products here that are coming to us from all over the world, or at least all over the country. We do lots of truffles. I never thought, and even our truffle guy never thought we'd be able to do white truffles. And we sold every white truffle we bought from him, which we're at, literally $10,000 a pound this year.
Wow.
And so, even people that come here many times, and it's a lot of repeats too. So, we've had people that have come to this 20 times in a year. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, if someone wanted to gift this to their high school graduates or maybe have, like, obviously kids who are under 21, will you accommodate them? Because I know you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do a lot of, we have a great non-alcoholic beverage pairing that we put a lot of time into. We make a non-alcoholic whiskey. We make a non-alcoholic rum. We bring bark, roots, berries, twigs, make our own bitters. Yeah.
Okay. Now, on top of all of this, you have created your own line of salsa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How can we get your salsa? Because I could not figure that out. It's manufactured in Texas.
No, it's manufactured in New York in the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Oh, okay. Where can one find it? Where's it distributed?
Well, we distribute it mainly through Whole Foods.
So we can go get it. Like, I can go get some today.
We're not in the South yet, so we're only in the Northeast.
Okay. Can people mail order it, or just for now, we've just got to wait?
Yeah, you just got to wait. The problem is that in order to produce the best salsa you've ever had in your life, we've chosen to not do a few things to make that happen, right? So, our salsa is not on the dry shelf in a grocery store. We're in the cold shelf. So we're in the refrigerated section. The problem to get on a dry shelf is that you have to cook everything above 165 degrees. And so when you cook a salsa at 165 degrees, you've turned that salsa, you've cooked out every bit of freshness out of it, and you've turned it essentially into tomato sauce. So that's why I don't personally like the salsas that come off of a dry storage shelf, because it doesn't taste like salsa. It doesn't taste like fresh made, vibrant, alive, magical salsa. So we don't cook our salsa to 165. Therefore, we're not technically pasteurized all the way. We are classified as semi-pasteurized, but in order to maintain the integrity of the salsa, where it literally tastes like something fresh made in Mexico, we don't cook it all the way. So we have to refrigerate it. So it's hard to mail order it. And, and it's hard to produce it because it's insanely handmade. I mean, you look at a jar of salsa and you see roasted something, there's somebody flipping that chili by hand, roasting every bit of that stuff, over flame. And so, it just takes a lot of great care in it. But I mean, it's the best salsa I've ever had in my life.
Okay. Tyler, tell us just some of the most memorable evenings, because when you do this enough, it's just like if you entertain, there's always memorable evenings. Tell us, just share a few.
I mean, if you go on the website on a computer, not mobily, a video will start playing. That was probably, I would say, the most memorable night we've had. And we did a wine dinner. It was like on a random Wednesday, just somebody came to me, our sommelier said, "Hey, you want to do a wine dinner with this guy?" His name was Emmanuel Camigi. And I'm like, sure. But I guess Emmanuel Camigi is kind of a big deal. And, he's got vineyards all over the world.
Oh.
And, he's a master sommelier, and in the world, there's very few of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we put it out there. I mean, I literally got a phone call in about 30 seconds. And, this guy, Jim Cavall, was like, "I'll take all of it. Like, I want every seat."
Okay.
So he's like, he booked the whole night, ended up bringing, it was like 56 people. And I mean, you had Mayor Woodfin here, you had, Senator Doug Jones here, you got all their posse. And, I didn't have a clue. I didn't know who these people were. So, it was just kind of this crazy night that was, very validating, at the same time where, you're cooking for, I guess Birmingham's elite, and, it was a nice time, and that's, Jim had a videographer come and video the whole thing and, flipped us over the video when it was done. So I just put it on the website and was like, thanks. And it was, I don't know. It's just, you make good food and you have great wine, and, this is a night where, those bottles were $300-400 a bottle. It's nice to do that. It's nice to sit and experience what the world has to offer, the finest things. And thank God we live in a world that even has enough ingredients for us to do 10 courses, with 5 components in each dish that have 12 ingredients in each component. And you could do another one the next night with not repeating one ingredient. It's
I will tell you what this, and I've sadly not experienced it yet. I will be booking, I'm already deciding when we can try to get this done, but it sounds like a French laundry experience at a much more reasonable price. I mean, honestly, this is amazing. And I'm just sitting here. I feel like a lot of people are this way, especially women. It's hard to order off of a menu because you want to try everything. You want to try different things. And to me, this is the best of both worlds. You're getting, and I'm sure that the portions are smaller where people aren't, especially women, are not full by the end, because 10 courses, you don't get that every day.
No, it's a lot. And it is a lot of food. I don't get any complaints about people leaving hungry.
How do you make sure that people get to experience it all and that they're not full by the end?
No, we make the courses small. So those canapes are bite size. If we serve a crudo, it's 2 to 3 slices of fish. It's sized appropriately. This is what we came up doing in our career. So I've done thousands of these, thousands.
Okay. Well, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to come and bring a party there. And is there anything else? Oh, can you quickly tell us about soon to be new location? Because I'm assuming you'll move everything to the Fort Rucker. Is that right? The historic Fort Rucker.
It's called Rucker Place. It's a home built by General Rucker after the Civil War. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. The restaurant's going to be gorgeous.
When are you hoping to launch that? Like, when do you think you'll be able to open?
I would say probably about 10 months from now.
Because you've got renovations and.
Yeah, we got a lot of renovations. Like the building's about 10,000 square feet, and we're adding another 5,000 square feet to it. It's a lot of renovation, and plus we're in no hurry. We bought the building, so it's we're flexible with time. I want to be as far back. I want to have this so far in my tail dust, like I don't ever want to think about it again. So we're in no rush as to get open, and we will continue. I'm not sure if you were trying to allude that we would stop doing tasting table, but we will continue to do tasting table.
Oh, okay. So you'll continue doing that. Okay. So you're just growing and you're staffing and you're able to, I'm impressed.
We're doing this year, we're doing the ballet soiree. That's a big gala. It's like 300 people. We're doing the Birmingham Museum of Art gala. I think it's like 500 people. We're doing the hospitality gala in Auburn. I think it's like 400 or 500 people. And then right after all that, we're, going to the Hamptons and we're doing Steven Spielberg's daughter's wedding. Right after that, right after the Birmingham Museum of Art gala, it's like the next day we fly out to New York to do Steven Spielberg's daughter. It's fun and it's interesting, and we love to do it. This is what brings us happiness. And to continue, it's too good not to do the supper club. When that restaurant opens and we're just trying to survive, by getting everything done, it's hard to innovate. When you're running the rat race, it's hard to innovate. It's hard to cultivate talent because all your time is spent just getting the job done. And so Supper Club lets us help sort of R&D, create original works, test out new dishes, foster talent. You got a new young MVP at the restaurant. You would say, hey man, you're not working at the restaurant tonight. You're gonna come with me. We're gonna go do Supper Club, and we're gonna do a little one-on-one. It's too good not to do.
Yeah.
Maybe not every week, but maybe every other week. Maybe it's once a month. But the Supper Club is something we would like to continue to do.
Well, and as we close, because I've kept you longer than I told you I would, but people who are obviously you'll travel when you can. So someone just needs to reach out to you if they want to have this in their neck of the woods. Just reach out to you. And
we do a bunch of stuff in Tuscaloosa. How they heard about us, I have no idea.
Now, on a smaller note, if it's not a Friday or Saturday, will you come to someone's home in Birmingham?
Yeah, we do a lot of that. Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. And you basically do the same concept. You just come to the person. Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit more expensive. Like we charge $200 per person for it just because your expenses go up, moving all that stuff. We bring all the glasses, plates, silverware, napkins, the beverage, the staff, loading it in, cleaning the kitchen, loading it out.
You have a minimum for how many people, like a party of?
We've done as little as 8. But yeah, I would say our minimum is probably $2,000. I would say we'd come out for, so if you did less than 8, we would just take that 2,000 and divide it amongst the 8. So, it's just, the cost of food and labor is insane. We're paying our servers $45 an hour, to serve. It's crazy.
Well, and Tyler, not only is the cost of food high, the cost of good, fresh food is, and you can't compromise there, but yes, it costs. But Tyler, I'm intrigued. I can't wait to, at some better time for her, meet Jennifer. And I just would love to. I would love to have both of you back on, and I want to come. I mean,
Oh.
I'll be coming for dinner. I can't. Hi,
Absolutely.
Jennifer. Look at you up and around. I was still slothing around in bed after bearing a child a few days ago. That is awesome. Well, Jennifer, I'm very impressed with what you all have going on. I want to ask you though, what's it like, both of you working? Like my husband, I have the best husband in the world, but he and I would never want to work with him all day. Do y'all just flow real well? How does it work?
For the most part, I mean, it's good that we both have our own separate, what am I trying to say? Separate.
Well, you're in charge of all things pastry, whereas, okay.
Yeah,
So y'all don't really.
we don't butt heads too much. Sometimes if I ask for criticism, I'll get a little upset with Tyler tells me, but it's all in good things. So, but we do butt heads sometimes, but it's good that we have our own responsibilities, and he does savory and I do pastry. So
Yeah. I do want to ask this. Do y'all currently, or do you plan to, because pastry, beautiful pastry, so many people would just love to be able to go buy them and display them at smaller events.
Yeah, I mean, the whole restaurant concept is, we love France. So, we go to France every year. We rent a house out there. Like, we're very passionate about France. And this restaurant here is, the whole concept is French. I'm not saying French and Southern or Southern and French. We have no interest in creating another Southern restaurant for Birmingham. It's, I think it'd be I'm not going to presume to do it better, but so we're going to do French, hardcore French, old school French. The building's big, it's multi-level. So on the bottom level is going to be like the French bistro and patisserie. We'll have a case just like a patisserie in France. You can walk in and, let's say you go to Fauchon in Paris, and they have all the beautiful eclairs and little cakes and, all these like really cool things, we'll have that sort of Birmingham Fauchon case with fresh macaroons or, whatever, but done not with a machine, but super high level,
Well, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of great going on right now, but there's a lot to look forward to. And I hope y'all will come back as things evolve and let me put it out in my little world and share. And thank y'all. I think what you're doing is absolutely outstanding. And I've never heard of anything quite like it here. I'm thrilled that y'all shared with me, and I'm here if you ever want to share anything else. So thank you all both.
I'm going to work on getting you some salsa. I'm overdue to get it, and I'll send you some.
And I would be so grateful. And I will tell you this, whenever we sign up to come, I hope that somehow you might find it possible to put those wings somewhere. Those wings.
They're phenomenal. They're amazing. Jen, how good are those wings?
they're amazing.
So
Good.
I mean, that's amazing. But anyway, well, guys, thank you. And thanks to all of you watching or listening. And until the next episode, be blessed. And I'm very grateful.